Hello students, this is Mr. Goddard, and in this lesson we're going to be talking about test data. So actually not writing any programs per se, but thinking about programming and about how to check to make sure that your program is working properly. So first off, what is test data? Well, test data is a set of inputs and outputs that are used to check to see if your program is running properly. Um, The expected output is normally calculated by hand or from a validated third-party program before it is fed into a program. That data should be calculated before you even write the program. Uh, so let me give you some examples here. So if a program was expected to do something really simple like add two numbers, some sample test data would look like this. So this is one line of input, 5 and 6. The expected output would be their sum, 11. Or 8 and 0, expected output 8. It's not enough just to do integers. You want to make sure that you would be able to process floating point numbers like doubles, 2.1, 3.8, and the expected output over here. Positives and negatives, and its expected output of 0, or whatever the proper output would be. If you really want to think about it, you could have some input like 7 and yes, and the expected output would say, that is invalid input. I can't add those two items. Whether if the second piece of information, the second input was maybe a string, or if the first one was, or if both of them, your program should be able to process that. Now, at this point in the course, we don't necessarily have all the tools to check to make sure that our input is valid, but we do want to be thinking about that, and we will be able to process that later on in the course. So, like I said, normally it's handwritten, it's calculated beforehand. This is an example, sort of that all that up there. This is if you were um, developing test data, then you would need to write it by hand, you would do something like this, where you'd put the inputs over here and then the outputs over there. Maybe your side calculations off to the side or something like that. But this would be a good little summary sheet to be able to check your program to see if it was working properly. So you might say, well, what's the purpose of this? Well, test data is necessary to verify that your program consistently works as expected. So we want to make sure that our program actually does what it's intended to do. There are different types of test data. There's the valid input. That is input that's within the expected parameters, and the program should properly process this data and give the expected output. As we saw a moment ago, there's also invalid input. That is input that is outside of the expected parameters, and the program should alert the user that it received some invalid input, and it should not process that. That if it does try to process invalid input, it could result in giving information that is obviously completely wrong, that is misleading, or it could even break and crash your program. Then what's really interesting is we get to talk about what are known as edge cases or boundary cases. And that is valid input, but it's on the boundary, or it's on the edge between valid and invalid. The program should process it appropriately, and this is normally really good test data, because this will test to see, normally if your program works on all the edges as well as in the middle, then it's going to work for every single situation that is in the middle, so to speak. So normally edge cases are things like 0, 1, -1, as well as the maximum and minimum accepted values. If we were running a program that adds two numbers, we would not be able to test every single combination of numbers that are out there. That would take forever, or such a long time that it wouldn't even be really worthwhile. So when we're developing test data, we normally need to choose some data, some subset of the possible combinations. But like I said, if we choose all good data that's well within the boundary conditions, then that really doesn't tell us if our program would work kind of close to the edge. We would want to make sure that it works. If we have some of our test data that's in the middle, some of it that's on the edge, and then and we are able to verify that it works, then that's as well as make sure that it handles input that's invalid, then we're pretty confident, or we can be confident, that our program will work every single time in the nearly infinite number of combinations of possible input that you could get. So you might say, all right, why did you say that we've got to calculate the test data by hand or by like a validated third-party program? Why can't I just, run some tests with the program itself? And the reason why you need an outside source to compare your program to is because otherwise you have no way of knowing if your program is generating the correct output. So if you just run some input through your program and write down the results, then you're not checking to see if it works at all. You're just writing down its results. Now, if you can do all that in your head, that's great, but at this stage, when you're beginning to write programs, you probably are writing some basic ones that you can calculate, writing some basic programs that'll do calculations that you can probably mentally do. But in the end, the purpose of learning programs and using computers is to be able to write programs that will solve problems that you can't quickly solve in your head, or in some cases could never solve in your head, even given multiple lifetimes. So the idea here is that the comparison is that if you just have the program check itself, then that would be like a student grading his own tests and his own answers, rather than using the answer key. You give yourself 100 every single time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the answers were right. So the only surefire way to know that a program is working properly is to have results that were calculated outside of that program, and then compare those calculated results with what the program itself generates. Now you might say, okay, I think I understand that, but why do I need to create the test data before I even write the program? Well, for a couple reasons. First, it normally helps you to fully understand the problem and the process that you need to code into the computer. Something that I always tell my students, that I say, you can't program a computer to do a process that you don't understand yourself. And if you're going to write the code, then solving the test data and doing that problem by hand a few times normally is very helpful for you to be aware of what needs to take place and of the steps, and then it's going to make the programming a lot easier. Second, if you generate the test data after your program compiles rather than before, it is possible that your program's results will influence what you calculate for the test data output, and you'll think your program is working properly when in fact it isn't. So it's kind of like using the student in the schoolwork example. It's sort of like if you looked at the answer key and then said, okay, well, now I'm going to go ahead and do the problems anyway, and you're doing the whole problem anyway, but in the back of your mind you're kind of thinking, yeah, I know the answer to this one is 38. And so you just kind of work, and then you find a way of getting to 38. It's not really testing to see if the program is working properly at all. So multiple reasons, at least two there, for why test data needs to be written before the program. So how much test data do you need? Well, in general, you need as much test data as needed to reasonably verify the program works with valid data, invalid data, and edge cases. So if you're in a business setting, this number may be set by the customer who's wanting the program, or the software development team, where there might be industry standard procedures where they say this is the amount of test data that is going to be required to verify this program is working properly. In this class, I'm looking for 2 to 3 sets of test data. That's valid, maybe 1 or 2 invalid, and maybe 1 to 3 edge cases. That normally will be enough. So now we're talking about this edge case. You might say, well, how do I create edge case input? Here's some questions that you can ask to help you think about what are edge cases. So are you considering positive and negative numbers in your input test data? Have you considered 0? What about numbers with special properties like 1 and -1? What if the user was sneaky or tried to break the program? So can your program handle those situations? what is the maximum or minimum data that could be entered, and can your program handle values on either side of those maximum minimum. I had a programming teacher in high school, and he always knew the sneakiest ways to break our programs, and we'd have to always write our programs that would handle all of his tricks, which is good because if you're writing something that's going to be deployed to even one person, but tens, hundreds, thousands, millions of people, there's going to be people that are going to enter in bad data, and you need to be able to, and when I say bad, I mean like erroneous or false, or they're going to hit the keyboard when they should be typing in numbers. You need to be able to process that. Um, Edge cases is a real fascinating read. There's lots of information on that. There's a whole Wikipedia article on that. I would encourage you to scan through that. This is related in engineering to things called corner cases. In aerodynamics, actually, this is what there's something similar in aerodynamics called the flight envelope, um, uh, talking about the manner and profile in which the plane can fly, and then you can also push the envelope where you're trying to find the edge of what the aircraft can handle. All of those there are links to those relevant articles and Google searches and stuff like that. So I'd encourage you to spend a few minutes kind of looking into that, seeing what those are all about. For this particular assignment, what I'm expecting you to do is read through the next two programming assignments, and then on a separate sheet of paper, generate some test data for those. There's no real set format. I feel free to utilize the format here that we saw, where inputs on the left-hand column and expected outputs on the right, and then have those labeled as well. And you can take a picture of that, send it to me or whatever, upload it to the assignment, and that will prove that'll be worthy of completion on this particular assignment. All right, so we've talked about test data, the different types of inputs, why we need to have test data at all, and why that test data needs to be validated beforehand and written beforehand. All right, thanks for watching.